Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Doctor
I'm gonna
Strange.
hop on
I
now,
made
guys. I'm
it.
gonna.
Josh, I made it. I
Yeah.
didn't go to sleep.
All right. Thank you, Jenna. Hey, thank you, Hunter, for showing up, man.
Thank you, Hunter.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
All right. We're going to be discussing Doctor Strange. So the first Doctor Strange movie, thought it was appropriate to review it since Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness is coming out, directed by Sam Raimi. This first one was directed by Scott.
Yep. Scott directed by Scott Derrickson, who
yeah.
Previously done the remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still, the Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is my favorite horror legal dramas.
It surprised me in its quality. Actually, that film.
And one of my favorite horror movies of all time, Sinister, which was also co-written by C. Robert Cargill.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. You wanna know what's funny? I not accidentally. I think that had a PG. Go back to what we were talking about, and took my daughter to see that, and I was like, "This definitely should have been rated R." And my daughter was like screaming, and I had to like take her out of the theater.
Oh wow!
I was that parent because we watch horror films, and I'm thinking it's like Insidious, you know what I mean? And then the first scene, the lawnmower, and I'm like, oh, like my daughter's screaming, like she's like traumatized, and I was like, man, just like the Dark Knight, man. You guys fucking flip this shit on my ass. Like y'all say PG-13, this shit ain't PG-13, bro. This shit is rated R. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, directed by Scott Derrickson, written by C. Robert Cargill here with this Doctor Strange movie. Like I say, who also did Sinister, which I also seen. Sinister is very good. Also starring Ethan Hawke in that. By the way, who is doing Moon Knight right now. He's playing the villain in that show, Arthur Harrow. Also, is Scott Derrickson, is he directing Black Phone as well?
Yes, he and Cargill are back doing Black Phone.
Yeah, with Ethan Hawke.
Cargill did Black Phone?
Yeah, they did that, him and him. Yeah.
Oh, I'm about to watch it. Okay, I'm in. I'm 100% in.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. That's one of the movies I'm excited for that's coming out. In a few months, or next month, actually, it's coming out. So that's pretty nice. Mm-hmm. So with this one, so this came out all the way back in 2016, 6 years ago that this came out. Can't believe that. It's like, wow, that time is just really flying. And Benedict Cumberbatch, I mean, he was chosen specifically for this role. Even Kevin Feige.
They held off making this film until he was.
Yeah, until he was chosen. Because at the time, Benedict Cumberbatch, I think he was tied up doing Sherlock at the time.
He was tied up doing Sherlock. There were a couple other roles that he was busy with. The Star Trek movie that he was tied up with, and when he finally became available, they said, "Okay, let's roll right into production."
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch had a hot career. Tons of different things. Not only this, but like I said, I first saw him when he was in Sherlock, because I heard so many rave reviews about that show when it was out. And also Martin Freeman, Watson. He's also in the MCU right now. He's playing what's his character? Agent, the FBI agent. What's his name? I forgot his character's name. But he was in Black Panther. He was kind of the agent there, and also in Civil War, where he made his first appearance there as well. With this Doctor Strange movie, I would say it was kind of the first time Marvel, it was one of the new phases. They were more going into magic, where at first they were kind of toying with it. Where it's like, oh, it's not really magic, it's science, it's math. It's like, no, this is just straight out magic. Where you have this character of Doctor Strange who eventually becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. There's a little bit of controversy going on in this movie, obviously with the casting of the Ancient One, which was played by Cate Blanchett. A lot of people were kind of not too happy about that casting. So there was a little bit of controversies there. And also kind of the origins of Doctor Strange, who a lot of people were comparing to a lot of people somewhat comparing it to Batman, like in Batman Begins, but it kind of somewhat of kind of a similar origin of a character going to this, traveling, meeting this other kind of culture, learning from this culture, and eventually becoming very great at it. Of learning these different skills. So there was a little bit of comparison there that people had. What were kind of your first thoughts there when you kind of heard the Doctor Strange movies being announced and all the promotion leading up to it?
When I first heard it was being announced, I was excited. This was a character that I didn't think would have been a thing in the MCU any time earlier, because I feel like at the time the MCU was going for this more grounded science fiction. Even the way they explain magic in Thor, it's technology, but just so far advanced beyond our understanding. And here you're going full on into introducing the supernatural, which I was e- excited for, mostly because of the possibilities of how this character is going to interact with people like Tony Stark, with people like Cap, or with Thor.
Yeah, Jenna.
And then I read that it was directed by Scott Derrickson and written by Cargill, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, Jenna. What kind of your thoughts there?
Wow. I didn't know that Cargill wrote this as well because I thought it was horrible. But funny enough, not because of the writing, actually. So that may make sense.
Mm.
I wasn't that excited. I wasn't a Doctor Strange because I read the comics, so I wasn't really into Doctor Strange. He wasn't one of those characters that I was just like, oh my god, I'm excited for. But I can understand why they did it. But then I was also just like, again, Doctor Strange was one of those characters that I do wish Marvel did not touch. I wish that this could have been done with a studio that had more creative freedom to really explore Doctor Strange, because in the comics he's just so much more fucking interesting.
Mm.
Um, but after watching it, and of course having Tilda Swinton, I mean, that's just the history in Hollywood, which is just whitewashing Asian characters. It's just what they like to do. And I wish they didn't do that, but
Hmm.
she was all right. But to me, I feel like I don't know, something was just missing. Doctor Strange didn't grow on me until I started seeing him in the other Marvel properties,
Mm.
right? And then that's when I was on the Doctor Strange train because I love me some Benedict Cumberbatch, like I do. Okay,
Yeah.
I would love to marry that white man, but to me, this film was just not memorable. The story was not, and it had my favorite Rachel McAdams. I freaking love her.
Yeah.
It was just I don't know. It just wasn't. It was just very formulaic, very underwhelming, and I really feel like it was more of a studio issue than the capability of the people who are handling it. But I mean, the multiverse of madness seems like it's going to be a lot more interesting, a lot more fun, because I think they now know how to and work with Doctor Strange because they had time. The first one just felt like they didn't really know what to do with his character for. Like, I didn't really know what y'all wanted me to take, like my connection with this character, like
Hmm.
versus Spider Man or Captain America or Iron Man.
Mm.
Clearly targeted to a specific demographic, a specific like emotional theme.
Mm.
Doctor Strange was just strange, haha. But
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I think there are some cases where a lot of characters I feel like in the MCU have their own movies, but a lot of them to me work better when they're in an ensemble. Like Ant Man, I feel like a lot of the Ant Man movies are just okay or kind of mediocre, but when he's a part of an ensemble, I think he works a lot better. It same thing I can kind of say with Black Panther. Like when he showed up in Civil War, it was badass. Like when he showed up there, I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Him coming out and everything like that. I thought he was a lot cooler there than he was in his own movie. Even though I do like the Black Panther movie,
yep.
I felt like he was a lot cooler in Civil War. And then Doctor Strange, I think same thing. When he showed up in like something like Infinity War, fighting Thanos, I thought he was a lot better there than he was in his own movie. And then also another comparison that when the Doctor Strange movie came out was that it was a lot of it also like Iron Man, another kind of rich guy. He's also got the goatee, you know what I mean? And he gets humbled and through him getting humbled, he becomes a hero. It's like a lot of comparisons also got drawn there between that, so that also kind of didn't help. But yeah, and then you also had kind of the lame love interest like Rachel McAdams, who is very talented. Rachel McAdams is a very good actress, but she kind of suffers like a lot of how these love interests suffer in these Marvel movies, where it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of sidelined for the most part. I hope they do a little bit more with her in the sequel. But that's how Natalie Portman was in the Thor movies,
and now she's coming back as Thor.
Yeah, so they did kind of a lot of that. I think the only really good love interest that we've had in the MCU, I think really capable ones are like Evangeline Lilly. I think the Wasp. I think she's very good there. I think Lupita Nyong'o, you know what I mean, in Black Panther, I think was very good love interest. And also I think another very good love interest in the series, it was on the tip of my tongue. I just forgot who it was, but it was on the tip of my tongue. Oh, Pepper Potts. I think Pepper Potts. I think seeing her character kind of grow throughout these movies, I think, has been very nice to watch as well. But yeah, I think I agree a lot with Jenna points with the Doctor Strange movie. Like a lot of it, seeing it, I thought it was just kind of okay. You know what I mean? Really just didn't really blow my socks off. I think, when we discussed all these movies and we ranked all of them, I remember we did a whole tier list for all these movies before. I think it was before No Way Home was out. I think it was.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like either before No Way Home came out or right after we saw.
Yeah, and then we did a whole ranking of all these movies. I think this is kind of one of those movies that you would put kind of in the middle, where it's like, okay, it's kind of flat in some areas. I do like Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I think he does a very good job as that. He definitely fits the character perfectly well. It's just that you do have those typical kind of Marvel things that come in here. Mads Mikkelsen, it does waste him, I think, as a villain.
True. I think it is kind of a waste of Mads Mikkelsen, but I also think he's one of those actors, even when he's not given a lot, he somehow still brings something interesting to it. Like we talked about with Crimes of Grindelwald, where no, sorry, fucking Secrets of Dumbledore, these fucking Fantastic Beasts movies. Even in an underwritten part, he still manages to bring something. But that is the problem with Caecilius, is he is kind of underwritten.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of one of the major issues there. Even though there was a whole issue with Cate Blanchett with the Ancient One, I still did like her.
That was Tilda Swinton.
I mean, Tilda
Swinton.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Don't do my girl Kate. Kate is non-problematic.
Hey, Cate Blanchett is the goddess of death.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, Tilda Swinton in this. I think she did a decent job. I think she had a great kind of aura about her in the role there, I would say. But yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? I thought she was kind of fine enough. And then Chiwetel Ejiofor, I think a lot of thing about his character was wait till you see more down the line what they do with him. We can really chew on a lot more. But I think, even in this movie, I think that he had some decent stuff there with his whole kind of development with it there. And also the kind of the action in it, seeing kind of the visual effects of the worlds, of kind of the city kind of collapsing on each other, very Inception-like. That's another comparison that this movie had a lot of when it's them kind of folding in on each other, which was very nice, which it seems like they're doing a lot of here in the Multiverse of Madness, and we got to see a little bit of it also again in No Way Home with Doctor Strange. I think that makes it feel fresh. I think that makes it feel a lot of the action scenes in the MCU fresh and kind of nice there, I think. Jenna, what was kind of the most things you appreciated about Doctor Strange, even though you were felt that it was mediocre?
I mean, like how you said with Chiwetel, redid the magical Negro, which was nice. He was, I don't know, the Doctor Strange, I enjoyed the action. That's one thing Marvel will give you, is a good popcorn movie. And the action in this was pretty decent. And I like Benedict Cumberbatch, he carried the damn film. Like, he literally carried that. So for me, it was just enjoying him be Doctor Strange and kind of I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch is able to play characters in a way where he satisfies kind of like Marvel respectability politics, but still adds a maturity to them, so that when I look at him, I still can understand, like, okay, this is like a real person. like a real person, real life, but you know what I mean. Like he doesn't make it cheesy. He doesn't play it in a way where it's like, oh man. And then to see him in the What If series really got me really excited for Doctor Strange because now we get to see him actually do all these great characters because he's such a great character actor as well.
Yeah,
So for me,
yeah, casting him, you get an actor like Benedict Cumberbatch, and you could give him the silliest shit possible, and he is
yeah,
gonna make that shit Oscar worthy.
yeah, yeah, he's great at being innocent. Like he has so much. So for me, even though the film itself may not, what I was looking for. Well, I don't think Marvel's ever for from these comic book movies, but he um he makes it so much more enjoyable to watch. Uh, and so I don't know. Yeah, I feel like for me, Doctor Strange, what I liked about it was just watching him be Doctor Strange and seeing this character evolve and being like, okay, I'm down for the ride now. You know what I mean? I'm down for the ride.
Yeah. Nick.
Me, I think I appreciated one the casting and the performance of Benedict Cumberbatch, but also a lot of the side characters that are introduced that are gonna get more to do down the line in the MCU, especially Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordo. He's such a fascinating character because he is such this strict fundamentalist about the mystic arts. And his conflict towards the end of the film, I thought was really effective. And also, of course, my man Benedict Wong as Wong. The changes that they made to
Yes.
the character from the comics, because in comics he's basically Strange's Asian manservant, which thank God they changed that character. And they have so much fun banter in the small scenes that they have together and stuff like Avengers Endgame and Infinity War and in No Way Home, where hey, Wong is now the current Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had the addition of Wong. Who's the actor who plays Wong? Let me see here.
Benedict Wong.
Benedict Wong. Oh,
Is
okay.
it BD Wong? Or okay.
Yeah. No, BD
So
Wong
maybe
is the one from Jurassic Park. That's the actor who plays in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
Thank you.
BD Wong is the guy from Jurassic Park that they keep bringing back from I don't know why.
Yeah, the one that keeps making the dinosaurs. The one that keeps making all the
Like,
dinosaurs.
motherfucker, didn't you learn last time?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think he was a great addition to the role. I think he was very fun. Again, to see kind of his character. He's kind of one of those fun characters. I think like I said, character change that they did it from the comics, and also what an actor really brings to a role. That I think that was just more there on the paper, because I think what that actor does, he's got such a natural charisma and charm that it really brings a lot more to the role than that was just originally there. I mean, he's made for some great memes for sure. I mean, you know what I mean. Throughout the end, after his appearance and him showing up in things like Infinity War, and things like that, and even in No Way Home, I mean, where he just he's just known as the guy for like, I'm dipping. I mean, if things get serious, I'm gone. You know what I mean? Hey, Whirling, like I'm gone. You deal with your shit. I got other shit to deal with, which is really nice. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some good things to like about it, like I said, with the characters, with the action, but overall, I think all of it put together is kind of, I think, forgettable when you think about all the other Marvel movies and kind of have the whole list now. We're up to how many now? It's 25 now so far, I think, with these MCU movies. It's a lot. So it kind of gets lost.
I think it's like almost like 30 films at this point now.
Yeah, 30 films. 10 more years of these movies all the way up until 2032. They're going to be, just keep pumping them out. Yeah, so it's like, hey, there you go. And I mean, it's crazy to think that, like I said, it was 6 years ago since the first one, and we're just now getting a sequel to this. It's just,
yeah, we're only now getting his sequel,
yeah,
which is kind of nuts. He's appeared in more like non-Doctor Strange movies than he has in his own franchise.
Yeah. So how long is the character going to be around? We don't know, because I mean, eventually you would think they would want to do a third one, because every major hero, they get at least 3 of these films. So maybe do that, and they already kind of have his replacement already set up in the Prime in the Rings, because like I know Wanda's son Wiccan, he eventually becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. So or maybe they'll make Wanda Sorcerer Supreme, or maybe they'll bring in Dr. Voodoo and make him Sorcerer Supreme. I don't know.
Yeah. I think a lot of this phase of Marvel is grooming the next generation of hero, and I think that might be touched on in Multiverse of Madness.
I wouldn't bring up grooming and Disney in the same sentence. That they kind of in some trouble right
yeah.
now.
I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you had to give a rating to this movie, Nick, what rating would you give it?
Me, this is kind of one of my comfort Marvel movies. I really love the visuals. This is a great film that I have on the background all the time. I think it's a very I think like the floor for Marvel movies for me is still tune in, even if even more I'd say stream it. I would say it's not my favorite Marvel movie, but I still enjoy the heck out of it. I enjoy it more than I do something like Captain Marvel or Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, Jenna.
Um, this is definitely the movie you put on, start cooking in the morning on Thanksgiving. So you just like how Nick said, you just have in the background. Watch it. You catch a couple of scenes, you might stop. But for the most part, it's just not. I mean, I'm not anti Marvel, but I don't jerk it off like everybody else does. So I don't. Yeah, I really. It's just some are good, a lot of them are bad. But Doctor Strange, I think, as it has aged, actually, because I just rewatched it recently, it actually aged better, funny enough, than most Marvel films, and it wasn't even.
Why do you think it's aged better?
I think the simplicity and the plot, because we've seen that kind of hero's journey, to see it done again, but because we have that attachment with Doctor Strange and other properties, when you rewatch it, I think you'll have a different viewer expectation now because you have it with Doctor Strange versus the first time you see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now when I watch it, it's kind of just like watching a friend. Oh, this is this is your universe. I think Marvel did groom us very well. Yeah, and start to accept kind of like different different universes and different stories, and it doesn't always have to be like this epic hero's journey all the time. But yeah, I would probably, if I would have probably gave this 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 times kept staring at Tilda Swinton's bald. That was like horribly done. I'd rather y'all just.
Oh, you cut out there. What'd you say?
I said I'd rather you all just hire like to be the stereotype. Like I'd rather Asian person.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Who knows? We got the real Mandarin, and maybe they'll like reveal the real Ancient One.
True. That's true.
Yeah. Maybe with all this
Ke Kwan's not doing anything.
Yeah, maybe they'll bring him in. Yeah, I mean, with all this multiverse stuff, maybe you bring in another version of the Ancient One or something like that. Maybe. Yeah. I'm kind of with. I'd give it maybe a low tune in, maybe like a stream it, high stream it. It's about where I kind of feel like that. I think. Yeah, I mean, Doctor Strange. I think he was a lot better in other movies, as opposed to maybe his other, to ones that he was in. But in this multiverse of madness, it seems like maybe it's going to be another No Way Home situation where you have all these cameos, and maybe it's going to be a situation where, I mean, it seems like his movie's almost being taken away from him because you have also like America Chavez who's going to be in here and all these kind of maybe other characters. So who knows how that's going to be.
Yeah, but if it didn't take away from Tom Holland's film in No Way Home, I don't think it's going to do here.